Ladies and gentlemen, imagine if you were to time travel 10 years into the future with the same communal space, with the same societal space. You will time travel 10 years into the future. You ask your predecessors to these cultural and social values, such as your niece, your nephew, or your younger cousin. You ask them if this culture still practice X, is this X culture still practice, or do you know the values, the wisdoms, the customs of the culture X? Then they said that they doesn't know. Sorry, uncle, I don't know what the tradition is. You are confused. You want to ask what is behind all of this. Then you pull out the red string that connects it all. What makes these people forget these cultural values and wisdoms? Turns out it's because social progress. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is what we are going to discuss. We are going to debate based on this motion. This House would prioritize preserving cultural traditions even at the cost of slowing social progress. Now, we as the proposition team believes that this motion is not just about preserving cultural traditions or slowing social progress. We believe that it is also about how to internalize, how to keep your identity, your pride of culture, even with these rapid social progresses, with these modernization. Now, let's jump to our definition. What is prioritize? Prioritize is to rank or deem one thing more important than others based on the priority scale list. Such as you have A, B, C, then you deem A more important than others, so you prioritize A more. Then, cultural traditions. What is cultural traditions? We believe that it comes down to three things: activity, habit, and belief, which are passed down through generations, and they form the backbone of a community and social identity. Now, social progress. How do we define social progress? It is how society either has the capacity or can expand or upgrade its capacity to meet or to get the basic human needs of its citizens, such as welfare, livelihood, etc. Before we could jump any further, we would like to set the House on the Minister of Culture, where we can accelerate reforms regarding of the reforms that preserves the cultures. We believe that because we work in the government, because we work in the bodies of parliamentary, we as the Minister of Culture believes that these reforms which preserve the cultural traditions are passed down faster and passed down more effectively. Now, we would like to have a limitation. We would set a limitation on Indonesia's, where you have these cultural traditions, these A, these B, these C, and more, spanning from Sabang to Merauke. Now, how can we preserve these cultural traditions? We believe it comes down to two categories. Legally, which means we as the government will pass down reforms in law, or to have a specific or special law regarding of the cultural traditions. Let's take an example: land ownership. Government passes passes or permits that regarding of the individual land ownership. Of course, these are the effect of these social progresses, modern social values and progresses. We as the Minister of Culture will protect and serve the cultural traditions by passing a shared permit, a collective permit of a community or cultural land ownership. That's one of the things we propose, because we think it's better for these cultural traditions to have, for perseverance, to have a shared system, a collective system which they can manage together. Now, secondly, through education, we will implement a special curriculum collaborating with the Minister of Education based on the locations of where these cultures are practiced. Region A, culture A; Region B, culture B; Region C, culture C, etc. In which we will implement curriculums to local schools regarding of cultural values. Let's think of it as civics, but it's cultural values. Then local cultural languages, cultural practices such as farming, harvesting, weaving, you name it. And then local wisdom and unique social systems. We will implement this education system collaborating with the Ministry of Education in primary school, or you can call elementary school, and also middle school, or you can call it junior high, where then these elementary to middle schoolers will be tested a final test upon their graduation as a of the graduation regarding of the graduation, a test of cultural identity, cultural wisdom, cultural practices, and local languages. We believe that this special curriculum encourages the people, the successor, the young people, to carry the flame, the spirit, and the energy of the cultural traditions, which and also to uphold cultural values and identity despite modern social values, which we believe it encourages individualism and encourages the youth to uphold tradition via modern social liberalism values. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump to our argumentation. Firstly, cultural traditions create identity, pride, and communal stability. Traditions gives these people a sense of belonging, continuity, and identity, and these span across generations. These are passed down through generations, through ages, and they are internalized deeply to the people. Or even if you only know some of these practices, still you will get excited when someone of the same tradition greets you while you are out of town, out of the community space. Such as you are Japanese, then another Japanese greets you while you are in Jakarta or you are in Sumatra. Then, this rapid social progress, which encourages individualism, encourages these people who are supposedly to uphold traditional and cultural values the chance to uproot, the chance to just uphold tradition, which creates alienation and fragmentation. Of course, we believe that this social progress encourages individualism and is too rapid or too fast. Of course, this can uproot communities too quickly. This minimizes the internalization of cultural values. Now, we don't explicitly say that it is too slow or too halt social progress, as they are also important to comply with modern current globalization. But by applying this mechanism, we believe not only the cultural practices are protected, the people to carry this cultural spirit are also internalized in values of the cultures to uphold the cultural traditions. Now, secondly, of course, not all social progress is actually beneficial. The idea of progress is subjective, ladies and gentlemen, and we as the proposition believes that the universal idea of it is often dominated in and influenced by Western liberal values. It encourages individualism, as I said before. Some societies reasonably choose slower adaptation to preserve harmony and local values, especially in Indonesia, where there are culture, habits, customs here and there. Well, of course, we as the proposition team believes that progress shouldn't become cultural homogenization. By applying this mechanism, we believe that people are internalized in values of culture, in customs, in habits. Now, based on these reasons, based on those arguments, we as the proposition team are glad to propose this motion. Thank you.